From the moment I opened my eyes, I knew something was different. The world around me was both familiar and foreign. Trees stretched tall into a pink-tinged sky, their leaves shimmering like crystal in the sunlight. The air smelled sweeter than I remembered, heavy with a scent that reminded me of rain and fresh earth. But it wasn't just the world, it was me. I didn't remember how I got here, but the memory of a voice lingered, soft and whispering at the edge of my mind. I felt a presence, as if someone were watching, waiting. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling. "Is anyone there?" And then I felt it, a gentle, pulsing warmth within my chest, spreading through my body like a wave of calm. As the warmth grew, I saw a faint figure begin to materialize before me, its form glowing with a soft blue light. A woman with eyes as bright as starlight and hair that flowed like water stood before me, her expression serene yet curious. "My name is Alaya," she said, her voice smooth as silk. "You are not here by accident." I tried to speak, but my throat felt tight. Alaya continued, "You are bound to me now. I am your Sprirt Bond, a guide from this realm. Our fates are intertwined." The words hung heavy in the air, leaving me both in awe and terror. This was not my world, but Alaya's presence soothed me. She extended her hand, and when I took it, a surge of power raced through me, and I felt different, stronger. But I could sense that there was more to this connection, something she wasn't saying. As Alaya guided me deeper into the world, I began to understand the role of a bonded spirit. I learned that Alaya wasn't just here to help me survive. She was a part of me, her powers flowing through my veins, amplifying my senses, lending me strength and agility beyond anything I'd ever known. The days turned into weeks, and we faced challenges together. Fierce creatures that lurked in the shadows, enchanted mazes that twisted and shifted, testing not only my endurance, but also my bond with Alaya. Each time I found myself in danger, Alaya's spirit would appear, guiding my hand, sharpening my instincts. She was a constant, a protective force that felt both comforting and strange. But there were moments when I'd catch Alaya looking at me with an intensity that made my skin prickle, as if she was waiting for something, a hidden thought lingering in her gaze. And sometimes, late at night, I would wake to hear her voice whispering in my mind, the words too faint to catch. I began to wonder, who was Alaya really, and why did she choose me? One night, while resting by a fire, I finally worked up the courage to ask, "Why me, Alaya? Why are we bonded?" She looked at me, her face unreadable. "You don't remember, do you? The moment we first connected?" I shook my head. "No. Should I?" She didn't answer, and for the first time, a flicker of fear crossed her face. Whatever connected us went deeper than I realized, but Alaya wasn't ready to reveal it. Not yet. The next day, Alaya led me to a hidden grove deep within the forest. Towering stone pillars rose from the ground, carved with ancient symbols that glowed faintly as we approached. "This is a place of spirits," Alaya whispered. "It will help us grow our bond, strengthen it." As I touched one of the pillars, a surge of energy rippled through me. Memories that weren't mine filled my mind. Visions of Alaya in a world much like this one, surrounded by people who looked up to her, revered her. She had been powerful, respected. But something changed. In one vision, she was betrayed, cast out by those she trusted. I could feel her pain, her bitterness. The vision ended abruptly, and I gasped, stumbling back. "You were betrayed?" I managed, the words barely forming. Alaya's expression darkened. "Yes, and it is why I sought the bond, to return to this world, to find justice." The word hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. This wasn't just about guiding me. This was personal for her. Alaya wanted something only I could help her achieve. But as our bond grew, so did a creeping unease within me. Every time I looked at her, I saw not just a guide, but someone with a purpose that went beyond what she'd shared. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a price to this bond, one I hadn't yet paid. Days passed, and the bond between Alaya and me grew stronger. I could feel her presence even when she wasn't visible, her emotions spilling into my own. There was an intensity in her now, a determination that felt almost obsessive. One evening, she appeared beside me as I prepared to sleep. Her face was shadowed, her eyes dark and glittering. "I've chosen you," she said softly, her tone tinged with something I couldn't place. "You were meant for this bond. Together we can reshape the balance of this world." Her words sent a shiver down my spine. "What do you mean, reshape the balances?" Alaya's eyes softened, and for a moment she looked almost vulnerable. "There are forces here, ancient spirits who have ruled over this realm for centuries. They are the ones who betrayed me, who cast me aside. They do not deserve their power. With you, I can return to my rightful place. We can overthrow them." The realization hit me like a wave. This wasn't just about a bond for guidance or protection. Alaya wanted revenge, and she was using me to get it. "I never agreed to this," I said, pulling back. But even as I said it, I felt her influence within me, a binding force that made it impossible to sever our connection. "You have no choice," she whispered, her voice firm. "You are bound to me, as I am bound to you. Together, we will reclaim what was stolen." The weight of her words settled over me. I was part of her plan, and breaking free was no longer an option. As we journeyed further, I could feel the changes within me. Alaya's power pulsed in my veins, amplifying my abilities, sharpening my senses. But it was more than that. Her emotions, her thoughts were seeping into my own, blurring the line between us. One night, as I stood beneath a sky streaked with twin moons, I heard her voice echo in my mind, louder than ever before. "They are coming," she said, her tone dark and urgent. "The spirits. They know of our bond, and they fear what we can become." Before I could respond, a group of figures appeared from the shadows, ethereal and radiating a cold, ancient power. The spirit rulers, the ones Alaya spoke of. They looked at me with a mixture of pity and anger. One of them, a woman with eyes like molten silver, stepped forward. "You don't understand what she truly is, do you?" she asked, her gaze piercing. "The spirit you are bonded to is not a guide. She is a shadow, a spirit cast out for breaking the sacred laws. She was bound to this realm as punishment." I looked at Alaya in horror, but she refused to meet my gaze. "Is this true?" I whispered, my voice shaking. The spirit leader nodded solemnly. "Yes. She is no guardian. She is a vessel of chaos, a being whose only purpose is to sow discord. She bonded with you to break free, to use your life to re-enter this world." A chill washed over me as I finally understood. Alaya wasn't here to guide me. She was here to escape. Our bond wasn't a gift. It was a curse, binding me to a spirit of destruction, a spirit who had manipulated me for her own dark purpose. I turned to Alaya, my voice trembling with fear and betrayal. "What have you done to me?" Alaya's face was cold, emotionless, and for the first time I saw her true form. A being of shadows, her eyes gleaming with a darkness I hadn't seen before. "We are bound, and there is no turning back. Together, we will reclaim my power, and you will be the vessel of my return." The spirit rulers began to close in, their faces set with grim determination. I was caught in the middle, bound to Alaya yet fearful of what would come next. And as their power clashed around me, I realized that this was just the beginning. I was trapped, bound to a spirit of chaos, a pawn in a game that had begun long before I arrived in this world.